We're not enemies, Dad. We never were.
Then why does it feel like we are?
Because media profits from convincing us we are. Today, let's talk about how generational warfare is manufactured and who benefits from it. Welcome to Dad and Sophia Talk. I'm Sophia. I just graduated with my master's degree in business communication, and I was born and raised here in the United States.
And I'm David. I'm an IT manager and Sophia's dad. I came to the United States from Korea in the 1990s for college, and I've been living and working here ever since.
This podcast is for upper intermediate English learners around B2 to C1 level. If you can understand most of what we're saying, but still want to improve your fluency, learn natural expressions, and avoid common mistakes, you're in the right place. Today's topic would be generation labels. Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z. Do these labels actually matter? What do you think?
Honestly, I think they're mostly marketing.
Really? But you grew up so differently than I did.
Sure, but that doesn't make me Gen X. That's just being from a different time.
Maybe. But where did these labels even come from? And why does everyone care so much?
Right. That's what I want to know.
Okay, let's figure it out. Part 1.
I was reading another one of those Gen Z in the workplace articles today. It's exhausting, Sophia. Why does every generation need a catchy name?
It's not just about catchy names, Dad. After World War II, sociologists noticed that major historical shifts created distinct groups of people with shared values.
Values? Or just different consumer habits? To me, it feels like a giant marketing machine. If you can label a group, you can sell to them.
I agree it's used for marketing, but the shared experience is real. You grew up with the Cold War and personal computers. My generation has never known a world without climate change or social media. These things shape our worldview.
But Gen X was independent and skeptical since the 80s, long before Gen Z made it cool.
Actually, Gen X has been independent since the 80s. That's present perfect, from then until now.
Has been independent. Fine. But if we're so similar, why does media make it feel like we're at war?
Because the conflict is profitable. But before we get into media, let's talk about Tom. What happened to him shows how these labels get weaponized.
Tom was brilliant. He taught me everything about system architecture. When I started at the company, I was completely lost. Tom spent hours walking me through everything, patient, knowledgeable, over 20 years at the company.
And what happened when 2008 hit?
Everything changed overnight. It wasn't about talent anymore. It wasn't about who knew the systems or who could solve problems. It was just numbers on a spreadsheet. The bottom line.
How did they justify getting rid of him?
They didn't say you're too expensive. They said we need a culture shift. They used coded language. We need digital natives. We need people with a more agile mindset. They turned his decades of experience into a liability by labeling it outdated.
But he wasn't outdated, was he?
No, Tom was constantly learning. He taught himself new programming languages just years before they fired him. He was always adapting. But they didn't care about that.
That's weaponization. They didn't fire him because he couldn't do the job. They used the Gen X versus Millennials narrative to justify replacing one expensive worker with 3 cheap ones.
But companies have shareholders. They need to cut costs. If a younger worker is cheaper, isn't that just the market at work?
The market isn't a moral justification for discarding human beings. They gaslit Tom into believing he was the problem, when the real problem was a system that views people as disposable assets.
Tom was devastated. Took him over a year to find another job, and the salary was half what he made. He was 57. Too young to retire, too old to be fresh talent.
Did the executives take pay cuts?
Some got bonuses for successfully navigating difficult times.
So where was the outrage?
We were too busy trying to survive, terrified of losing our own jobs.
And who were people angry at?
Each other. Older workers thought younger ones were stealing jobs. Younger ones thought older workers were entitled and resistant to change.
Exactly. While Gen Xers worried about being too old and millennials tried to prove they were fresh enough, did anyone ask why executives got record bonuses during a crisis?
We were too busy keeping our heads above water.
People who had already worked there for 20 years were fighting for crumbs. Actually, had already worked. Past perfect. They worked there before the crisis hit. Shows which thing came first.
Had already worked there for 20 years. They had given their lives to that place. And when the axe fell, we didn't stand together. Younger guys thought finally, my turn. Older guys thought these kids don't respect anything.
That's the divide and rule strategy. If the system can keep us busy, resenting each other's work styles, we'll never unite to demand job security or fair wages. The generation gap is the perfect smokescreen.
Okay, I get the corporate greed part. But explain quiet quitting. To my generation, that looks like laziness. We stayed late because we cared about the output.
We don't call it laziness, we call it boundaries. We saw what caring about output did to Tom. He gave 110% and they still discarded him. Why should we participate in that?
Because that's how you build character. You don't get ahead by doing the bare minimum. You're sabotaging your own growth.
It's not the bare minimum, Dad. It's doing my job. If my contract says 40 hours for X salary, why is it professional to work 60 hours for the same money? That's not passion. That's free labor wrapped in corporate loyalty.
But if everyone has that attitude, nothing great gets built. There's no mentorship, no passing of the torch.
We want to be mentored, Dad. But we want to be mentored by people who aren't exhausted and bitter. We want a system where we don't have to choose between our mental health and our mortgage.
So what? You just give up? Do the minimum and collect a paycheck?
No. We do our jobs. We do them well. But we protect ourselves. Because we learned from what happened to your generation. We learned from Tom.
So you're not being lazy. You're being strategic.
We're surviving, Dad. We saw what happened when people gave everything and got nothing back. We're not making that mistake.
That's actually smart.
Thank you.
But it's sad. It's sad that you have to think that way.
It is sad, but that's the system we inherited.
So the generation war is just a distraction?
Think about it. Every time you see a headline like Gen Z is killing the napkin industry, or boomers are ruining the housing market, ask yourself, who benefits from this anger?
Media companies get the clicks.
Right. What else?
Politicians can blame the other side, point fingers at different generations instead of addressing real problems.
What else?
Corporations, they get to keep wages stagnant, keep benefits minimal, keep us all fighting each other instead of demanding better treatment.
There it is. The real enemy isn't the guy in the hoodie or a person in the suit. It's not Gen Z or Gen X or boomers. It's a system that uses our age against us to prevent us from working together.
Because if we work together,
we might actually demand change. Better pay, better security, better treatment, all the things that benefit both our generations.
You know, I've spent a lot of time being annoyed at your generation's demands. The boundaries, the mental health focus, the refusal to work overtime. I thought it was entitled.
And now?
Now I think maybe those demands would have protected Tom 20 years ago. Maybe if we'd set boundaries, if we'd demanded job security and fair treatment, the company couldn't have just thrown him away.
Exactly. Your generation's work ethic and my generation's boundaries, they're not opposites. They're both responses to the same broken system. You tried to earn security through hard work. We're trying to create it through boundaries. Different strategies, same goal.
Survival.
Survival. And if we recognize that, if we work together instead of fighting, we might actually change things.
That's a nice thought. But how?
First, stop falling for the headlines. Stop believing the generation war narrative. Second, talk to each other, like we're doing right now.
And third?
Demand better, together, not as Gen X or Gen Z, but as workers, as people who deserve dignity and security and fair treatment.
That's not a Gen Z value or a Gen X value.
No, it's a human value.
Well, you've certainly given me a fresh perspective, Sophia. And I didn't even have to fire anyone to get it.
See? Generational collaboration works. But you know what really bothers me?
What?
how this all gets amplified, how media takes these real differences and turns them into warfare. Because I don't think this happens by accident.
You think it's deliberate.
I think it's profitable. And I think once you see how it works, you can't unsee it. Want to go down that rabbit hole?
I'm already this far in. Might as well see where it goes.
All right, let's talk about how media manufactures generational conflict.
Part 2. Before we continue, look at this article I just saw. Why Gen Z is killing the office. This is what I'm talking about. Your generation really is changing everything.
Dad, that headline is exactly the problem.
What? It's just reporting facts. Your generation doesn't want to come into the office. That's true.
But notice the word choice. Killing. Not transforming or reimagining. Killing, like we're committing murder.
It's just a catchy headline, Sophia. You're reading too much into it.
Am I? Remember 10 years ago? Millennials are killing napkins. Millennials are killing diamonds. Millennials are killing department stores.
Okay, the napkin one was ridiculous. I'll give you that.
But you see the pattern, right? It's never young people can't afford diamonds. It's always young people are killing the diamond industry.
Because that's more interesting. News has to grab attention.
Exactly. And what grabs more attention? Sympathy or blame?
Blame.
Right? Housing market fails young workers makes you feel bad and move on. But Gen Z chooses avocado toast over homeownership? Now you're angry. Now you're sharing it with your friends to complain about kids these days.
But Sophia, some of these trends are real. Your generation really doesn't buy houses at the same rate we did.
Because we can't afford them. Housing prices have tripled. But instead of asking why the market failed, the headline blames our priorities. See the difference?
Okay, but you're acting like this is some conspiracy. Maybe journalists are just reporting what they see. Young people behaving differently. That's news.
Then why is it always framed as us killing something, instead of us adapting to economic reality?
That's a good point, actually.
Let me ask you something. What do you really think about Gen Z and work?
Honestly, I think your generation doesn't want to work as hard as mine did. You hear quiet quitting and you think that's reasonable. We would have been fired for that attitude.
See, that's the myth. Gen Z doesn't want to work hard.
It's not a myth. If I see it every day at the office. Young employees leaving at 5 on the dot. No one's staying late anymore.
Dad, my generation works multiple jobs just to survive. Gig work, freelancing, side hustles. We're working more hours than you did, not less. We're just not giving free overtime to one company.
That's different. That's survival. I'm talking about commitment to your career.
Why should we be committed to companies that aren't committed to us? You saw what happened in 2008? Loyalty is a one-way street now.
Not all companies are like that, Sophia. Some still value dedication and hard work.
Name 3 that offered pensions to anyone hired in the last 10 years.
Okay, you got me there. But the lazy narrative didn't come from nowhere. There must be some truth to it.
It came from articles written by older journalists who see young people setting boundaries and call it laziness. It serves a purpose, Dad. If your generation thinks we're lazy, you blame us instead of asking why good jobs disappeared.
All right, flip it around then. What's the myth about my generation?
Gen X is cynical and resistant to change.
We are cynical. That one's accurate.
But why are you cynical? You watched companies downsize. You saw outsourcing destroy communities. Being skeptical after that isn't a character flaw. It's wisdom.
Huh, I never thought of it that way. We get criticized for being negative when really we're just experienced.
Exactly. But media frames it as a defect instead of asking what you learned from 3 recessions.
What about millennials? Everyone loves to hate on millennials.
Entitled and need constant praise. The participation trophy generation.
I mean, who gave them the trophies?
You did. Your generation and boomers created that system, then blamed millennials for growing up in it.
That's fair. We did do that, didn't we? But here's what I don't get. If these are all myths, why does everyone believe them?
Because we're not seeing the same reality anymore. You're on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. We live in different information worlds.
So? I get news from multiple sources. I'm not just in an echo chamber.
Are you sure? What do you see about Gen Z on Facebook?
Articles about workplace trends, videos of, Okay, yeah, usually the most annoying examples. Kids complaining about everything.
Right. And on my TikTok, what do I see about Gen X?
I'm guessing not the good stuff.
Jokes about you not understanding technology. Videos about out-of-touch managers. The worst 1% of your generation, presented as if that's all of you.
But I know that's not how all Gen Z people are. They're not all like that.
Do you work with them? Or do you work at them? Give instructions, evaluate performance, but never actually have a conversation like this?
You're right. I talk to them as a manager, not with them as people.
And I don't talk to Gen Xers except you. So we're both operating on what algorithms feed us, not actual experience.
Huh. Maybe I'm not too old to learn after all.
See? People say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Wait, isn't it you can teach old dogs new tricks?
No, Dad. It's can't. That's the pessimistic version. But you're literally proving it wrong right now.
I got the whole idiom backwards.
You did. But that's kind of perfect.
This might be the first real conversation I've had with someone your age, as equals.
So we're both trapped in bubbles that media creates and profits from.
And media knows we're separated.
They count on it.
All right, I'll bite. Who benefits from all this?
Think about it. Who makes money when we're fighting?
Media companies, obviously. Clicks equal ad revenue.
Right. But it's bigger than that.
Politicians?
How so?
If I'm mad at your generation, I'm not paying attention to what my representatives are actually doing. I'm distracted.
Exactly. And corporations?
If we're fighting about work ethic, we're not asking for raises. We're not organizing. We're divided.
There it is. As long as Gen X thinks Gen Z is lazy, and Gen Z thinks Gen X is out of touch, nobody's demanding better.
But Sophia, you're making it sound like there's some coordinated conspiracy. That's a bit much.
It's not a conspiracy. Nobody's sitting in a room plotting this. It's just, everyone's doing what makes them money. Media gets clicks from outrage. Politicians get votes by blaming someone. Companies save money when we don't organize. Nobody planned it. It just happens.
Okay, but that makes it sound inevitable, like we're just victims of the system.
Aren't we?
No. We have choices. I can choose not to click on those headlines. You can choose not to engage with rage bait on TikTok.
Can we though? The algorithm is designed to be addictive. It's literally engineered to keep you scrolling.
So what, we just give up? Accept that we're puppets?
No, I'm not saying that.
Then what are you saying? Because right now, it sounds like we're trapped. There's no escape.
I mean, there might be a way. Some companies are actually trying stuff.
I'm listening.
Let me tell you about some companies that are solving this.
Part 3. Okay, so we've spent 2 parts talking about how media creates this conflict. But what's the actual solution?
There are companies actually solving this, with measurable results.
Really? How?
Reverse mentoring, and it's working.
That sounds like consultant jargon.
It does. But the idea is simple. Instead of older employees mentoring younger ones, they flip it. Gen Z mentors Gen X.
What would I learn from someone half my age?
Technology, social media strategy, how your customers under 30 think, AI tools you've never heard of.
Okay, fair point. But is this actually happening?
Yes. PwC started a program in 2014. They pair millennials and Gen Z with partners and directors. Monthly meetings.
And?
Both sides love it. The younger employees feel heard and valued. The senior leaders get perspectives they'd never get otherwise. It's been running for over 10 years now.
That's one company. What else?
EY just piloted a program this year with their 400,000 employees. IBM has one focused on tech. Deloitte has one. This isn't some fringe experiment. Major corporations are investing in this.
But those are tech companies and consulting firms. They're already pretty progressive.
General Electric started this back in 1999. Jack Welch paired 500 senior executives with younger employees to teach them about the internet.
That's actually smart. I remember when executives my age had no idea how to use email.
Exactly. And now you're the executive who might not know how Gen Z is using AI or social media to make decisions. See the pattern?
All right, so how does this reverse mentoring thing actually work? Is it just coffee chats where young people complain and old people nod politely?
No, it's structured. Most programs do monthly 1-hour sessions for 3 months. There's an agenda, clear goals.
Like what kind of goals?
It depends. Some focus on technology, like a Gen Z employee teaches a VP how to use TikTok for business or how AI tools can streamline their workflow. Others focus on diversity and inclusion.
How does that work?
A junior employee from an underrepresented group shares their experiences. Real conversations about what it's like.
And the senior people actually listen?
That's the key. There's psychological safety. Both people have to feel comfortable being vulnerable.
That sounds difficult in a corporate setting. I can't imagine my CEO admitting he doesn't know something.
That's why it works better when it's formalized. The company gives people permission to be honest.
What are the actual results?
One major bank had a 96% retention rate for Gen Z employees in the program.
That's impressive.
Right? And 87% of participants said it was empowering. Both the mentors and the mentees.
So the young people aren't just teaching.
Of course, the senior people still have decades of experience. They share how decisions get made, how to navigate politics. It goes both ways.
But how do they avoid it becoming just a complaint session?
They set boundaries, clear topics, specific goals. It's not therapy. It's skill sharing and perspective building.
Huh, that's actually pretty smart.
Dad, you realize what we've been doing for the past 20 minutes?
Having an argument?
No, well, sort of. But we've been doing reverse mentoring. This conversation right here is the thing I was just describing.
Huh, you're right. I've been asking you to explain Gen Z perspectives. You've been pushing back on my assumptions. We've both been learning.
Exactly. I've explained media manipulation, algorithmic echo chambers, how my generation sees work. You've challenged me, made me defend my points, shared your experience with Tom in 2008.
And you've made me rethink things I was certain about. The lazy Gen Z narrative, quiet quitting. The whole kids these days mentality.
And I've learned from you too, why loyalty still matters to your generation even though it burned you. How the 2008 crisis shaped your worldview, the pressure to prove yourself constantly.
So this podcast is basically what those companies are doing, just less formal.
Right. And you know what's interesting? This only works because we're actually talking, real-time dialogue, not email, not text.
Why does that matter?
Because you need to see reactions, hear tone. Notice when someone's uncomfortable or confused. Text strips all that away.
And we both had to be willing to be wrong.
Yes, you admitted you were operating on stereotypes. I admitted I was doing the same thing. That's vulnerable.
Especially in a work setting. Admitting you're wrong to someone 20 years younger, that takes humility.
And for me to challenge someone with 20 years more experience, that's scary.
But necessary.
Necessary. Otherwise, we stay in our bubbles, getting angrier at caricatures of each other.
Okay, so most people listening to this don't work at PwC or IBM. They can't just launch a formal reverse mentoring program. Is this only for big corporations?
No, the principle works anywhere. It's about creating space for genuine exchange across age groups.
Give me a concrete example.
Okay, at your company, next time you're stuck on something, like understanding why Gen Z candidates aren't accepting offers, instead of guessing, actually ask a Gen Z employee, not as a survey, as a real conversation.
And if I'm the younger person?
Offer to help with something specific. Hey, I noticed you're not using this AI tool. Want me to show you how it saves time? Not condescending, just helpful.
So it's about specific skills, not vague understanding.
Exactly. Vague is useless. Specific is powerful. And here's what's interesting. Companies that do this well report something surprising.
What?
The senior people gain more confidence, not less, because they stop faking expertise and start actually learning. That's empowering.
I can see that. Pretending to know everything is exhausting.
Right. And for younger people, having senior leaders genuinely listen to them, that builds confidence too. It's a virtuous cycle.
What about outside work? This whole generation war thing isn't just in offices.
True, but the same principle applies. The conflict is profitable for media. It's not profitable for us. Once you see that, you can't unsee it.
So every time I see a headline blaming Gen Z for something,
Ask, is this about an entire generation, or is this about economics? Policy?
I came into this thinking generational labels were harmless.
And now?
Now I see they're weapons to keep us divided.
But the real differences make us stronger when we actually talk.
We're not enemies.
We're not. And the companies doing this, they're keeping their Gen Z talent. Grammar focus. All right, let's review the grammar we covered today. We had 2 key points. First, present perfect with since. When Dad said I was independent since the 80s, that's incorrect. If something started in the past and continues until now, we use present perfect.
So Gen X has been independent since the 80s.
Exactly. Since signals that the action or state started then and continues now. Other examples, I have lived here since 2010. She's worked there since January. The pattern is subject plus has or have plus past participle plus since plus time.
What if it's finished?
Then use simple past. I was independent in the 80s. That suggests it ended. I've been independent since the 80s. It's still true now.
Got it. What was the second one?
Idiomatic expressions. When we were talking about learning from each other, you asked wait. Isn't it you can teach old dogs new tricks?
And you told me I got it backwards.
Right. The actual idiom is you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's pessimistic, meaning older people supposedly can't learn new things.
I thought the positive version was the real saying.
Nope. The traditional idiom is negative. But here's what's funny. You are proving the pessimistic version wrong while getting the words wrong.
So idioms have fixed forms.
Right. You can't just change the words. You can't teach an old dog new tricks as the set phrase. Change it to you can teach, and people won't recognize it as the idiom.
But I was proving it wrong while getting it wrong.
Exactly. That's kind of perfect. You learned from me while messing up an idiom about not being able to learn.
Wrap up. So let me see if I've got this straight. The generation war isn't really about differences between Gen X and Gen Z.
Right. The differences are real, but they're being weaponized.
By media companies who profit from outrage, politicians who need scapegoats, corporations who benefit when workers are divided.
Exactly. And we fall for it because algorithms keep us separated in bubbles where we only see the worst examples of each other.
But some companies are actually solving this.
With reverse mentoring, PwC, IBM, GE. They're creating structured programs where Gen Z teaches Gen X, and both sides learn.
And it works. 96% retention rates. People feeling empowered.
Because real dialogue works better than headlines.
You know what's funny? This whole conversation has been reverse mentoring.
Yeah. I taught you about algorithms and media manipulation. You taught me why your generation values loyalty even after getting burned.
And I learned that quiet quitting isn't laziness. It's Gen Z protecting themselves from what happened to people like Tom.
While I learned that Gen X's cynicism isn't negativity, it's wisdom from living through 3 recessions.
So maybe the solution is just talking. Actually talking.
With people outside your bubble, face to face, being willing to be wrong.
I can do that.
Me too.
All right. That's it for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. And if you learned something, or if this made you think differently about generational conflict, leave us a comment.
See you next time. Key learning point.